Welcome to GateX AIML. In this video, you'll understand the concept of integrity constraints. What is this integrity and constraints? To maintain the database integrity. Integrity means the data should be accurate, not corrupted. Okay, for that we will impose some constraints or conditions so that data is structured and proper with accurate values. So for that we use relational integrity constraints. So they are primarily classified as domain constraint, entity integrity constraint, referential integrity constraint, and key constraint. So what they enforce is, for example, domain constraint. So you have seen that each attribute has some domain values. For example, the salary attribute in employee table. So salary is always a positive number. You cannot have a negative number. So that is a constraint. Domain, it cannot take a negative numbers. So why, if you want to impose that, what will happen? So the data becomes corrupted or incorrect. So we'll get wrong results. So for that reason, we impose certain constraints or conditions to maintain the integrity and accuracy and maintain non-corrupted data. So if you try to insert the incorrect values or incorrect data, the database should throw an error or notify that it cannot be done. So that is the concept of constraints. So let us see one by one each of these constraints. What is the domain constraint? You already know the domain values concept. So every domain must contain atomic values, the smallest indivisible units. So you cannot have composite values as well as multi-valued. Okay, you cannot have multiple phone numbers in one column for a particular employee or a student. For each row, you should have only one atomic value. We perform data check click here, which means we assign a data type to a column. We limit the values that it can contain. So these are all type of constraints. Okay, so particularly this kind of data has to be stored. Otherwise, the database will not accept it. For example, say that age is of type int. We can't give it values other than int is a data type. So that is a domain constraint. That is a constraint you are putting on the domain values. For example, if you define it as integer, I cannot insert a string in it. So that is not allowed. So let us take an example here. See employee information. See, I have employment ID. Okay, the integer data type, and then I have string that is phone. It's a multi-valued, and age. It is a integer. So here if I insert, for example, say that in name Vikas Datta, for example, there are two values here. So Vikas and Datta. So basically this is a composite attribute. So that is not allowed in your relational database. Phone number cannot store multiple phone number like this. For example, here I have integer data type for age, but I am storing a string value here 25. This is not allowed. If you store like this, it will become difficult for the database access. That's why we enforce data domain constraints. Then key constraints or uniqueness constraint. Key constraints is also called as uniqueness constraint. So you already know the concept of keys. So if it is a key value, then you should have the unique values in that particular column. So for example, employee ID is the primary key. If I choose this as the primary key, then I cannot have same value repeated for others. So 0, 1, 2 and then 1. So this is not allowed because the primary key has to be unique. That is the unique constraint or key constraint. So this, if I make it 0, 3, then this is in the consistent state. So the constraint you apply on the keys, you call it as key constraints or uniqueness constraint. So we don't have any restriction on choosing the primary key. We already know this concept out of candidate keys, but it is suggested to go for candidate key with fewer attributes. That is the definition of candidate key. Null values are not allowed in the primary key. Hence, not null constraint is also part of the key constraint. That means what? Some of the attributes definitely require values. So in your SQL, when you write, you will write it's not null. Okay, not null. You cannot put the null value. So these are the examples for key or uniqueness constraints. Then there is anything called as entity integrity constraints. You already know the concept of entity. For example, say student entity. Student has his roll number as the primary key, for example. Then he has name and other attributes. What is entity integrity constraint says is no primary key can take null value. So entity integrity constraint says that no primary key can take null value. This is because the primary key is used to identify each tuple uniquely in a relationship. That is the job of primary key. Each primary key value identifies uniquely a particular row in your relational table. So for example, here I inserted null for the EID as the primary key. So this is not allowed. So database will throw an error saying that violation of this entity integrity constraint. So if I put null, what will happen? If I want to enforce this entity integrity constraint, what will happen? The null value as a primary key doesn't indicate anything. That means what? I cannot uniquely identify any tuple with this. That's why it is not allowed. So that is the reason we enforce the constraints. Then referential integrity constraint. So you are using primary key and foreign key relationship. So you are using the primary key of the other table as the foreign key in your own table. So to relate between the different tables in the design. So referential integrity constraint is specified between two relations to maintain consistency among tuple. This constraint is enforced through foreign key in relation R1 that references the primary key of relation R2. So two relations R1 and R2. So R2 is primary key is used for R1's foreign key. The foreign key value must either match the primary key value in R2 or be null. They cannot contain a value that does not exist in the reference table. For example, here employee table, employee ID is the primary key, and then department table, department number is the primary key. Here the employee wants to refer to department table because every employee is part of some department. Every employee is part of some department. Now I cannot store all the department details in employee table itself. What will happen? The table will become big. So that becomes a data redundancy that we will see in the normalization concepts. So now instead of putting all the department details inside the employee table, I will just create separate department table and then I maintain the department information. Only I will refer to the particular department number. So here department number is the primary key. Now department number contains 12, 13 and 14. Only 3 departments are there. Now this is the employee table referring to the department table. So this is the foreign key referring to the primary key of the department table, department number. Now what it says is referential integrity constraint says is whatever value I have here, only those value can be used here. Otherwise it becomes meaningless. For example, say that I am trying to insert department number 22. Department number 22 doesn't exist here. So I cannot insert it. So the database system will throw an error saying that violation of referential integrity constraint because department table, department number or department number 22 is not available or it's not present. So you cannot insert that data. So that is the example for referential integrity constraints. Now you will see how do you handle the violations created by referential integrity constraints. So specifically I am dealing with referential integrity constraints. So one thing is on delete set null. Now the concept here is, see, for example, say that the department, okay, department number is the primary key and then your employee child table. The child table means it is referring to the department number, primary key of your department. So this is the foreign key. Now this is the parent table where I am referring to. Suppose say that I have changed, okay, or I have deleted. So now this 12, department 12 is deleted from the department table. Now I am using this 12 here for this particular employee. He belongs to department 12. Now the department 12 doesn't exist. Now what we will do? So I cannot delete this record because the employee is still part of the organization. He may be put to another department tomorrow. We don't know the decision. Okay, now at this point of time, what should I do? I cannot delete the employee, right? Employee has certain information. I cannot delete the employee yet. So what I can do? So for that I have to set the null. I'll set null value. So that is in many of the SQLs they provide this on delete set null. So on delete of this row in the parent table, the child tables, whatever value it is referring will be set to null for temporary. So tomorrow if I want to make update, I can make update here. I can assign in the different department. So for example, 14. So that is the concept of on delete set null. So once you delete here something which is being referred by other tables, in that referring table, you go and set it as null. Similarly, the other case may arise on update cascade. See, one more problem here is, say that this department number 12, okay, place Jaipur. This is being referred by this because this employee works in this department number 12 here. Now say that due to some reasons, I have to change the department number to 50. I am not deleting the record. I am not deleting this row. I am not deleting the department. I am just updating this value. So update. That means changing the value. I change this 12 to 50. The primary key is changed to 50. So it is not violating any key constraint here. They are unique. 13, 14 and 15. Now what will happen here? So here that value has to be updated. This now has to become 50 because to maintain the integrity, because 12 refers to nowhere now. If I don't update this, it has become 50 here. If I don't update it here, then 12 refers nowhere. So I have to update this. So on update cascade, suppose say that what is cascade means, there are many say tables, many tables. So they are referring to this, have a foreign key or referring to this table department number. Now each table has to be updated. Each rows which contains this department number here should be updated. So this is called as cascading, means all repeatedly to go on updating the tables which contains this department number. So that we call it as on update cascade. So this violation is handled using on update cascade in SQL kind of languages. In the next video, we will understand the most important concept, that is mapping ER model to relational model. So how it is done in the real world, what are the different rules we follow. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe.